you're surviving, uh, and then at some point you want to cross over and start thriving. I don't believe that we're meant to only survive, but if that's the path and that's your experience, fantastic. If you feel like you'd like to move past the surviving, this video is for you. So what happens with that shift? Eventually, uh, you realize that you're struggling consistently, and you may even recognize that you're struggling with repeated patterns, and this is all part of it. And it's designed exactly like that, to help you understand what is the wrong way to live so that you can find the right way. And just like there are no mistakes, they're just learning lessons, the same thing happens with life. So these obstacles, these struggles that you're dealing with, helps you understand what's not right, and so that you can find the path towards right. Now, you probably recognize what you don't like, but it's hard to figure out what to do in order to get to what you do like. And this I can completely understand, and I can help you with that. So the first thing you need to do is understand what your true self is, what your true nature is, and how that wants to express itself, right? So to find out your true self, you need to uh, do a lot, and so that's kind of the path, right? Discover your true self, find your true self, all this stuff. You understand that this is kind of the goal, but then how do you do it, right? And there's all these different methods out there, and I would say that they really don't work that well because we're not really looking at what the true self is accurately enough. For example, so what I wanted to do with True Tune was to develop a platform that can help guide you to your true self, but then need to understand what your true self is. So I went like anyone else and looked at all the different personality assessments, looked at all these different tests, and they are they're kind of ridiculous in how limited they actually are, right? So look the main one, Myers-Briggs, right? It'll put you into 16 different categories, but that's kind of silly because there's more colors in a box of crayons. So it's like trying to paint the sunset with only 3 primary colors. You're just not going to get there. So that can't work. It can give you a little insight, right? A little bit, but it's not going to give you the whole picture, and it's certainly not going to be able to guide you along the way to really getting to your true self, because it cannot identify it. You with me here? So what can we do? So Enneagram, I think, came out with a couple hundred different categories, different types. Again, that's pretty weak, because there's 8 billion people, and I believe that there's 8 billion unique people. And for all the people that have been before, we have even more, right? So this can never work until the numbers get into the hundreds of billions, if not trillions, in order to get more closely to the way of the uniqueness that I see humans as, right? So I had to develop my own assessment system. And now this took quite a bit of work, because I had to understand how to extract the pieces of a person in the most like powerful way. So each question doesn't give us one answer; it gives us many. And the questions to develop them actually took quite a lot of time. And we developed a couple hundred in the database, but you don't take all of them. You'll take only 100. And we found that that's enough to actually figure out everything we need, because we're deriving so much information from each question. Now, what happens with all the rest of them? We actually have a special algorithm that actually decides which question you take as it learns the different responses along the way. So you'll actually have different questions that you take. So you and your friend would actually go through and have a lot of similar questions, and then some that are not even the same at all. And this allowed us to become more sophisticated in our way of understanding each person, to the point that instead of trying to figure out what type you are or what category you go into, I look at it completely different, that it's not a type, you're a pattern. And from this, we actually developed, so we map your soul in 36 different facets. These facets is like the sides of a gem, right? Of a precious gem, the way it makes it shine, right? And that's how you are. And it's these 36 facets actually across 3 different dimensions. So you have the innermost one, which is basically your true self isolated, how it exists just by itself. But we don't exist isolated. So it's how the next ring, the next dimension, is how it relates to others. Okay, so this one is how it's relating. So the third one is actually how it relates in the entire universal matrix of how you fit in with your purpose. What's your unique contribution to the entire universe, to the entire world? So This is pretty fascinating. So by doing it this way, it actually, we don't develop 16 categories. We actually are able to map over 167 vigintillion patterns. It's a crazy word, right? So vigintillion means one with 70 zeros behind it. This, to put it in perspective, this is more grains of sand than on a trillion, trillion, trillion Earths. Huge, right? And that, even that number is about 10 billion short. So even more zeros behind it. But that gives you a much better idea that it's huge, right? And so that's the more uniqueness that we're able to map through our assessment. And this is important because I believe everybody is very unique. Now, being this unique, does it mean that you can't relate to anybody else? No, it's the exact opposite, actually, because just like you have with your different friends, you know that they're not all exactly the same. They're not even exactly the same as you. And that's fine. Because what you have is these different overlapping features and behaviors and likes, dislikes, all these different things that overlap, and you're relating on those. And so you have this array of people, right? It's the same thing here. But being able to have this type of sophisticated accuracy about what your real true self is, we can then cover a lot more about you that can help you tremendously.